We're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 45 of the Generic Gaming Podcast.Mp3, the podcast where we talk about a new game every single week. My name is Logan Myrie, and as always, I'm joined by my producer slash seducer slash, the man of the hour, the man of the night, Eric Cross.
Why am I the man of the hour? I don't like that.
I feel you are. Man of the night sounds like an innuendo, but you kind of are.
Am I? I guess I am because I don't sleep.
Yeah, you're just a night owl. I see you're in your room like hanging upside down, like
it's on my computer. Yeah. Like everything is on my ceiling. I have everything inverted on that, like just clipped on my ceiling.
Yeah.
My just solid oak desk is somehow just hanging on the ceiling.
It's I couldn't believe you pulled it off in our rented apartment.
Yeah.
All with clips, that won't ruin the walls or anything.
Yeah, all those sticky clips and shit.
Everyone, I wanted to start off the show by giving our really best wishes to everyone affected by the GameStop layoffs. And I know it's kind of a change of tone there.
Game Informer.
Well, no, it was GameStop.
Oh,
because they own Game Informer.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Okay.
I did not know that.
Well, yeah. So GameStop laid off like 14% of their corporate staff, and that included 7 members of Game Informer.
Dang.
And I was just thinking about it, and I'm really happy that Game Informer did not get axed completely, because I've been a subscriber to that magazine, literally getting the issues every month since I was like in middle school.
Yeah, and I was gonna apply to work there in like 3 months, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a viable option anymore.
Yeah, it looks like they're not doing great financially. Yeah. But so I wish we were some sort of crazy media conglomerate. We could give them all jobs.
Yeah,
but
we're not.
But we're not, and we can't. So
if they want to work for free, though, we'll take everyone.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they're pretty close, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw that out there, and our hearts go out to them, and I hope that they all find work quickly. I mean, Game Informer's a pretty big publication, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like, if that's
they're all pretty talented over there.
Yeah,
so
for sure. I know Imran Khan was one, and he's going on Kind of Funny like this week.
Oh, okay.
And I was like really bummed because I really like that guy. But I hope he finds work.
Yeah, maybe he'll work at Kind of Funny now.
I'd love that. I mean, they have a space. Yeah. This is now the Kind of Funny podcast. We're just gonna talk about
talk about Kind of Funny for this. Sure, yeah, we could do that.
Because honestly, I mean, Andrea's leaving, right? So like. Maybe it could happen. That'd be cool. Anyways, everyone, we have a great show today planned. But before that, please, if you enjoy this show, if you've ever enjoyed this show, or you think maybe one day you'll enjoy this show, you should subscribe to our services on twitch.tv/lateforembargo.
That seems weird. I don't like calling it services.
Well, I mean, that's what we're doing. We're providing entertainment services, right?
Yeah. No, I still just don't like the word services. That just seems gross to me.
Okay. Well, you can subscribe to our content, our platforms on twitch.tv/lateforembargo, or you can follow the podcast on whatever podcast services you would like. I think that this is going to be a great one, Eric. I want to start off. This is going to be a weird one. We're not starting off with a game of the show. I'm going to talk about something, and we're going to kind of segue into it, all right?
All right.
So, one huge, news item from this week is that Insomniac bought Sony. Sony.
Yep.
Sony
Insomniac just somehow.
Yeah.
They got so much money from Spider-Man.
They're like, you know what? We can buy PlayStation now.
We have enough money to buy just Sony Incorporated.
Yeah. So Sony bought Insomniac.
Yeah.
And I have some feelings about it. So on one hand, this is cool because they have all that Sony money.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was great. This means that another one's happening. It's gonna be great. My other thought is, man, that sucks. I feel like whenever you lose that independence, then it's like, you know what I mean? You're not really the final decision makers anymore. Like that kind of sucks a little bit.
But Insomniac's going to be one of their first party studios now. They're going to be under Shuhei Yoshida. And if we've seen anything from Sony first party studios, those developers are allowed to do whatever they want as long as their game's good.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, I think with Sony and their first party studios, they know the talent they're working with, so they allow them to do it,
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, I really don't want to speculate here, and I'm just throwing this out there because I'm concerned about it. Insomniac, the murmurings around the industry are that they have like this great culture, right? And they have like this great work-life balance. Naughty Dog, a first-party Sony studio, notoriously bad at, for crunching and such. And so it's just like, I don't know. You got the corporate overlords now saying, get this fucking game shipped.
Yeah. That's true. I guess on the life balance kind of standpoint, they're probably gonna go a little bit downhill, maybe from what they used to be. But Insomniac's always been in that limbo state of being like a second party studio.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm sure that's
independent. They are not, but they're not a first party. So,
and I'm sure that's weird with money things because it's like you're working project to project kind of. I don't know. I don't really know the logistics of it. I just am like, oh, this is cool. I love Insomniac. I'm glad that they're doing this thing and they're probably going to have a lot more resources now. But on the same point, it twinges my heart a little bit because I'm like, the real reason, Eric, Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, okay.
So, Sunset Overdrive, Xbox exclusive, came out, I don't know, I'm going to say 2014. I'm going to look it up real quick.
That sounds about right.
I feel like that's right.
Because it was right around launch window of Xbox. So, 2014 sounds pretty good.
Release date, October 28th, 2014. I was totally right.
Nice.
This is a criminally underbought game. I saw a figure, I don't know if this is real because it wasn't that official, that it sold like under 500,000 copies.
Total?
Total.
That's crazy.
Well, I don't know if this is real, but also you got to think, I know that they were like bundling Xboxes with Sunset Overdrive, I think those probably didn't account for it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, regardless, I know that game was like pretty criminally underplayed.
Yeah.
It was pretty critically like, people liked it.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like praised or anything.
No, yeah, it definitely wasn't a game of the year game.
Yeah.
But this game has a very special place in my heart. I bought it, and I feel like, how Doom has that sense of pace, right? Where it's like you have to be moving constantly. This is not like a cover shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Sunset Overdrive was like my first game like that, where it was like it was forcing me to be agile, right? It's like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater meets, fucking a shooter.
Yeah.
And that's what was like so cool about it. It had this like crazy fucking zany sense of humor. It was like ridiculous. And it was so much fun to play. And I thought about it, and I was like, man, it sucks because that game's that game was already never going to get a sequel, but like now that game's not getting a sequel. Because from what Wikipedia says, Insomniac still owns the IP technically.
Yeah.
So like they have the rights to that game, but in a Games Radar article I saw, it said that they think Microsoft still owns publishing rights.
Yeah.
Speaking of that article, I'm going to pull it up real quick. And it's by Alex Avard over at Games Radar. And it says, PlayStation isn't prioritizing Sunset Overdrive 2 in wake of Insomniac acquisition. The interesting thing to note here is they literally asked Sean Layden, and he said, that was a great experience for Insomniac, and they learned a lot through that as well. As far as the IP itself, we really haven't turned over the files on that one to see what that actually means, to be honest. We like what we've been doing in the Spider-Man franchise, and things like Ratchet and Clank are certainly vital series in the present and the future. That's what we're concentrating on. So he kind of just went, Sunset Overdrive was cool, but honestly, we don't care. We don't fucking care, right? Like, that's not something we give a shit about.
Plus, it didn't really make them that much money, especially when you compare it to Spider-Man, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Spider-Man sold hotcakes. That was like, I think it's the number one selling Sony first-party game ever.
Yeah. And so it's like they're already just
probably I mean, we're going to get like, 2. Spider-Man is kind of the priority for now.
Yeah.
And probably for a solid amount of time, right? Maybe we'll get a Ratchet and Clank game somewhere in there because Ratchet and Clank on the PS4 is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. My heart just kind of aches, Eric. So that's the game of the show. We're talking about Sunset Overdrive.
Are you do the theme?
Yep, I was just about to do it. Bump, 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 bump. Game of the show. All right, Sunset Overdrive, Eric. How familiar are you with this game? Do you know anything?
Not that familiar. I know I can envision in my head like a gameplay trailer of the weird dude with the mohawk just jumping around and shooting things. And it's like a kind of cartoony look.
Yeah, so it's very bright. It's very colorful. It's almost kind of like... It reminds me a little bit of like what Rage 2 was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, this is bright punk aesthetic, right? Where it's like everything's kind of like punk, but it's like really neon punk, right?
Yeah.
And I think this game does it way better than that game did. And so the concept is there's this energy drink company called Fizzco.
Okay.
And they put out this energy drink that's supposed to be like fucking buck wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone starts drinking it and they turn into like zombies, kind of like these like fucking crazy, energy drink mutated beings. And they're taking over everything and they're killing everyone. and your character is like, oh, I'm gonna fucking mow these guys down, and really like the whole time you're kind of trying to escape the city.
Wait, are the energy drinks turning normal humans, and you're just going around killing these people?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
well, because they're not humans anymore. They're energy drink monsters.
Seems like a moral gray line.
Yeah, well, the game doesn't really ask about that. Okay.
Yeah. It seems like you should look for a way to save these people before you just go and murk them. You know.
So again, I don't. This has been a while since I played this game. I don't remember the specifics. This is an overview. It had all these crazy weapons. It had like one of the weapons was like a rocket launcher, but the rockets were like teddy bears with bombs strapped to them.
Oh, okay.
One of the weapons was like a gun that shot vinyl discs or like, vinyl records. So it was bouncing all over the place. There was like ice bomb ones. So all these like crazy guns, right?
Yeah. Did it feel like it was like taking a lot of inspo from Ratchet and Clank's like weapon systems,
Yeah, I'd say it shoots a lot like Ratchet and Clank kind of, but then imagine that with like Tony Hawk. So you're grinding across all these rails, right? You're constantly moving, and if you stay still, like you'll get fucked. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
And you're doing that, you can grind all these different ways. You're hopping and doing all this shit, and there's all these enemies. It's like tons of enemies, and they all like are crazy. And then more enemies get introduced. There's like a ton of them. These big monsters, and there's now Fizco has robots because they're kind of trying to cover all this shit up. And you meet like all these weird, like I remember one of the groups was LARPers, like crazy LARPers, and one of them were like samurais. So again, like this game's totally ridiculous. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And I like this, like again, the story was whatever. It was not really compelling in the least. And like your character was fine because it was kind of just to create a character. He was just this generic dude. Or I don't remember if you could.
Oh, so you can make a custom character?
Yeah, you make a character, which again I like because in this game it was like how crazy do you want to get?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just I just remember having like a really good couple weeks, and I thought about I loaned it to my friend Adam, and Adam like collective-thoned it, right? And I was like, it had all these collectibles.
Yeah.
And it's like making you use your mechanics to like do all this crazy shit to get these collectibles, and I wish that I'd go back and play it now and like do that because back then I was not a collector guy, but I kind of have grown to love a little collectathon. You put on a podcast or some music or something and you're just like kind of blank stare rushing around getting all this stuff, and it had like a ton of different types of collectibles.
Sounds like this game would have been great on PlayStation with trophies then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. That's the one crappy thing about achievements is like, oh, cool, 1,000 gamer score. Like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, you'll get that sweet platinum.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I think. Like, I feel like this game, it came out at a weird time, it came out on a weird platform, right? Like, I feel like Xbox fans did not give a shit about Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah,
and I actually feel like that would be a game that Sony fans would like. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
It kind of seems like, a Ratchet and Clank shooty Tony Hawk game, right? And I just feel like Sony fans would take to that kind of weird first party game, whereas like
especially during the launch, because that was very close to the launch of both PlayStation.
Yeah, and when they were desperate need of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and especially it was in October, so it would have been 4 months before Infamous Second Son came out, and so it would have been like people would have probably played the shit out of that game on PlayStation because there wasn't much out. There was Killzone, there was Knack, and then there was one other game that came out at launch. So there would have been like nothing on because there was very little games on PlayStation at launch. So like if this would have came to both Xbox and PlayStation, I think it would have done really well. Enough to warrant them getting a second one. But if they got a second one, then we might not got Spider-Man.
Yeah, and actually that's a one thing is this might be kind of a stretch, but I almost am gonna say like Insomniac owes a little bit of Spider-Man to Sunset Overdrive because you think about that, but think about the games they made before that, right? What kind of games were they making that had that kind of traversal, right? And so it's like with Sunset Overdrive, they had to build this world that was like entertaining to move around. Yeah, and so I really don't think it's that far of a stretch to say like they jump from that to Spider-Man, which is all about this movement. It's about traversal and all this stuff. And so I think it's like criminally underrated. Like I'm not like this, I'm not a crazy like cool hipster gamer where I'm like I fucking know, Trials of Mana or whatever. I've never played anything like that. I don't have these like cool, dark like not dark, but like, I don't know like the corners of the industry where people are like shouting about games that are dope. I'm more of like, oh, people are talking about this, like I want to play it.
Yeah.
And so Sunset Overdrive was like, I was fucking in, man. Like I'm ready to play this game. I got in and I loved it. And so now I'm the dude who's like, fucking play this game. I wish you could play this game. Buy an Xbox.
I do think it's weird because I felt like Sunset had a lot of like hype leading up to it, and then once it came out, it just kind of faded off into the distance.
Yeah, and again, like I think now we could easily say like that's not a holiday game. Like no. I kind of feel like games like this come out in the spring. Yeah, and like in the summer, right?
Definitely now, especially looking at how like there's like a standardized release window for certain types.
Yeah,
of games,
things have kind of changed, right? Yeah. And so I feel like now, I mean, maybe not back then, but now it's like, okay, you have kind of like a weird IP. Sony's huge about like their first party. I feel like coming out in like God of War and like Last of Us, and like Uncharted are like spring May kind of games, right? And so I feel like that's such a fantastic time because you're not going out against these like juggernauts of like Call of Duty, Red Dead, like all this stuff. And so I mean I can't tell you what came out in 2014, but like I just feel like holiday is not the window for that game.
Yeah, like, I think it could have. Did it launch with Xbox? Do you know?
What? No, I mean Xbox came out in 2013. So it was not a launch game. It was a year after.
It was a year after launch game. Xbox was already going downhill, right? Because of all their entertainment stuff, too.
Yeah. And I mean, at that point, people had kind of drawn the line in the sand, right? They're like, I feel like at this point, it's like, see, I didn't get a PlayStation until 2016.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, if people who bought a PS4 first, and they were like, oh, you know, I'll get an Xbox down the road or something. Like maybe they waited a longer time too. They needed more things to play on their Xbox. So it's like then they're past the window where they give a shit about Sunset Overdrive. Like I don't know. So I just feel like it just this game got a fucking bad deal. It got a rotten deal.
I do wonder if they were able to get it out earlier with the launch of Xbox, if it would have done better. And helped actually excel the launch of Xbox. Because when the Xbox came out, there was like nothing on it, right?
Yeah, there was Rise.
And that game wasn't good, right?
I liked it. I mean, it wasn't what people thought it was going to be, but I went in with low expectations, and I came out liking it.
Yeah, is there anything else, or is there literally only one game?
I mean, I'm trying to think, man. I can't think of anything, really. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have a Gears, they didn't have a Halo.
Yeah, there was really nothing big that launched with Xbox. So I think if this game managed to launch with Xbox, they would have done a lot better.
Yeah, but that's like a whole year. You know what I mean? That's a whole year before.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been hard to do. Obviously, they couldn't done that because I'm sure they would have if they could have. But I just think the year after people had already decided if they hadn't bought an Xbox already, they decided they weren't going to because Xbox's launch was so rough. And then if people had an Xbox, I don't know. That's probably just weren't what they were looking for. They were looking for those first party games.
And I'm just saying, like, think about how many like big AAA games we can say are like totally new IPs.
Yeah, new IPs.
Right? This was totally out of the fucking brains of those Insomniac people. Yeah. Like they had to like think about every aspect of this, right? And like create this whole world and like sure, the story wasn't that awesome and the world was like, you know, cool enough. It was fun to traverse around. I'm just saying, like, it already had such a fantastic base and our fantastic idea of like, oh, it's Tony Hawk fucking pro skater meets a shooter. Yeah. Like, think about what that could have been, Eric.
Could have been great.
Think about it. I'm just getting all riled up thinking about it. This fucking sucks, Eric. Anyway, Sunset Overdrive's dope. And right after this stream, I think we're going to jump in and play some of it because I found out it's on Game Pass, which I now have. Yeah. So I think we're going to jump in. We're going to make a character, which I love doing. I think it'll be a fun stream activity.
Fun fact, a long time ago when I was doing my first YouTube channel, Bloodborne had just come out, and we spent a whole 40-minute video Let's Play just creating a character.
It's fun. I mean, like the McElroys from like My Brother and Me, when they worked at Polygon, they always did this thing called Monster Factory, where they'd play games where you could create characters and just create like the most buck wild stuff.
Yeah, just create awful looking.
Yeah, things. But I mean, it became a whole series where they'd play the game with the characters, and like people love like the Final Pam. Yeah. And all this stuff, and it's great. I think that kind of stuff's like great content.
Yeah. That's fun. I always like character creators.
Yeah.
I always find it fun.
I liked character creators in the Saints Row a lot. I remember playing Saints Row 4 as like a Hulk-looking dude.
Yeah.
Because you could make him like purple and stuff.
Yeah, with Saints Row 4. Yeah.
That's another, I don't know. Maybe at some point we can talk about favorite character creators. That'd be fun.
Bloodborne is very good.
Yeah. See, I don't think I really gave a shit at that point.
Yeah.
Like, because your dude's like wearing a fucking mask and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you do wear a lot of shit in Bloodborne that kind of covers up your character, so it defeats the purpose. But I liked it. I've
also never really understood like what the point. I understand that it had like third person view, but it like really was not. I didn't feel like that fun to play. But like Skyrim, you don't even fucking see your character.
Yeah. Same with Destiny. There's a character creator, but it's kind of a joke that it's so bad that because you have the option to just leave your helmet on. So like I don't even remember what my character's face looks like because I don't take the helmet off ever.
Yeah, Dragon Age had I played Inquisition a fair amount, and I think that was it had a pretty good creator. You could do like a lot of the crazy stuff.
Yeah,
I don't love doing like the minute, like how fucking big are his cheekbones.
Oh yeah, getting into all the facial structures and tweaking that. Yeah.
But it's fun because there's like different races and stuff, and so I think that game was fun because it was like, oh, what kind of horns do you want to have and all that shit. I like that, and it's like Saints Row. It's like, what color do you want to be? Like, I want to be fucking bright green, and like that's I just think that's fun.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World's character creator was also very good. I enjoyed that.
I think you could
also customize your little palico.
Oh, okay,
which is sweet.
That's cool.
So you could have a custom little cat friend.
Game customization's fun. My one beef is that I generally just like to default to like I want them to give me a character, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's like I'd rather like have a fucking Geralt or like a Nathan Drake than like my shitty character. I'm not huge into like role playing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. If the game doesn't demand like a character for story, then I don't mind creating mine.
Yeah. I mean that's I guess. But we're a little off track here. My whole point, Sunset Overdrive, I can't really get into the nitty gritty because I haven't played it in fucking forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that game, criminally underrated. If you have an Xbox, you should play it and buy it and just, I don't know, demand another one.
Just demand it. From who? Who are we going to demand it from?
I don't know, Eric. That's a good question.
Okay.
I think Sunset Overdrive is going to be like I'm trying to think of another example. Like a Mirror's Edge, where it's like cult classic. And then, like, years down the road, people are going to be like, you know what? We should get another one of those. And it's kind of like rumbling.
Yeah, but we got another Mirror's Edge.
I know. But I feel like there's another story where, like, that worked out. Like, I can't think of one off the top of my fucking head.
Because there's not a lot that it worked out.
I don't know.
Would you be okay if someone else took the reins and created a Sunset Overdrive 2?
Oh yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm not like that. Like, whatever, man. If they want to do it and they think they could do it well, like cool, take it.
Okay. What if they don't do it well?
Well then no, Eric. I don't want a bad game.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. Yeah,
well, you get a 2.
What? Well, that's not the point. I want a good 2.
Oh, okay.
I want the Assassin's Creed 2 of Sunset Overdrive, where it's like, hey, we had this thing, we made it so much better.
I like 1 better than 2 for
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
You're fucking lying, Eric. Did you play Assassin's Creed 1?
Yeah. I played a lot of it. I don't know. It was just because I think I was dumb and young. So
yeah, that game is doing the same thing like 12 times.
Yeah, that's why I enjoyed it, I think. Because then you just create new ways to do stuff. I also like Altair better than Ezio.
Really? Ezio, everyone loves Ezio. Altair didn't even have character.
I know, that's I think why I liked it. I put a lot of my own personality into it, you know?
Yeah,
I think I just got more into the game because there was nothing there, you know?
Yeah.
I just had to make it up myself so that I have good memories of it.
Okay, I mean, I also liked that game, but let's fucking move on.
All right.
We're doing some hot topics. We have 2 hot topics submitted by some of our community members, which I love. If you would like to submit a hot topic, you should join our Discord, and that's ! Discord in the chat, and you can go into the podcast discussions. What do you call that?
Description.
No, what do you call the?
Oh, well, you could go to the podcast description for a link to the Discord, and then you could go into, I guess, the sub menu in our Discord.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a word for it, and just put a question there, and I'll say, hey, I've got this, and we're gonna talk about it on the podcast. I really think that's fun. It's a good way to interact. You can be part of the conversation. This first one, Eric, I don't think you're gonna give a shit about, and it's cardboard cutout says, why is the Black Eagles the most picked house in Fire Emblem?
Cause it's a fucking dope ass name.
Yeah, I mean they probably do have the best name, right? It's Black Eagles, Golden Deer, and the Blue Lions.
Yeah, those Golden Deer, Blue Lions suck. Black Eagles, that's what you want to be a part of.
I was surprised when I heard this because my guess would have been Golden Deer because they're the ones I picked, and I feel like they're the most like approachable. It's the most like kind of lighthearted. Like Claude's immediately very funny. Like,
yeah, Claude's best boy. So like,
so
it works out.
You'd think that, but really, I mean, I really think it comes down to Edelgard, how much like people like her and her design and how like she's like really cool and like like she seems kind of distrustful of everyone, and like she's got this like authoritative kind of energy from her.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's not like, she doesn't really seem like a cop like the other kid. And like I could see being turned off by Claude's like, I'm fucking suave, like funny dude. And so I also feel like they seem the most like edgy, cool, like dark. They're all into magic, right? And so I kind of feel like that fits a huge niche of maybe people who like Fire Emblem. And yeah, I guess, you know, she's out of the three, she's the only female house lead. So I mean, again, so you know, if that's like, I could see like that being like, oh, you know what, I want to like support the black. I don't know. I guess I don't really know where I'm going with it, but like I just feel like that makes a lot of sense for some people. I honestly couldn't name one like person from that house, even though I played a bunch of the game. Like I don't think I care about any of them that much. I think I might have stolen that from them, unless you're some of the Blue Lions, but I don't really remember. Yeah, so I mean, if I wasn't gonna be in Golden Deer, I think I probably would have picked Black Eagles.
Yeah, because you just don't like the Blue Lions.
Right? Yeah, I hated their house leader. I liked a lot of their house members, and I think that was another thing is I didn't love a lot of the Black Eagles like house members right away. They all seemed kind of stiff and snotty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean Edelgard's cool. I think she's really cool. So I think that's why. I think it's her. I think it's Edelgard. She's like she's got like the coolest design. I feel like she looks like the most badass. Like I'll fucking literally murder you. So that's my answer.
Magic's cool.
Magic is cool. I feel like people that's you know, people want to be in the Magic class.
Yeah, I'd probably pick the Black Eagles.
Yeah, I mean the Golden Deer is the real one, the real like house you should be in, and Claude's the best boy, and that's the only answer.
Yeah, that's the only problem. As I'd recruit Claude if I was in the Black Eagles.
You can't. You can't
break the game. Hack the game.
Yeah, you hack the game. You can't recruit the house leaders, or they're like lieutenants. So there's like 4 people like through your gameplay you can't recruit. I Blame My Role says, does the Link's Awakening remake, a 26-year-old game with arguably not next-gen graphics, deserve to cost $60?
Did you say with arguably without next-gen graphics?
Yeah, that was one thing that I was like, listen, I Blame My Roles. Listen here, buddy. That game's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, that game's beautiful. It has such a good art style that they went with that I totally disagree with it. I mean, it doesn't have like the crazy HDR hyper-realistic graphics, but it's a Link game. Like, it's a Link's Awakening. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah. I will note, just quickly, Cardboard Cutouts in the chat says, I think the Black Eagles was picked because it has the best girl. I'd agree. He said best girl. Anyways.
Can't you recruit the best girl?
No, you can't, Eric. I've said this a million times. You can't recruit Edelgard.
Oh, is she his best girl? I thought some other girl was his best girl.
Oh, you know what? Maybe. But I mean, I thought that he meant that Edelgard was the best girl. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, so back to Link's Awakening. I think this game absolutely deserves to be $60. I think that if they said this game was $40,
that'd be awesome.
I think that sets one. I mean, it'd be cool, but I think it kind of sets the precedent, like that this is like a reskin, right? Like that would be like, oh, this is like Link's Awakening, but we like made it pretty.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this game's like we built Link's Awakening, and it's very cool and very pretty. And I feel like
they've added a bunch of stuff too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I played that game, and it was like there was a lot of parts that were like kind of confusing, and so I feel like they're really gonna clean it all up a bunch. I feel like it's probably gonna play way tighter. Obviously, with the new graphic style, like it's got to be a little different, like maneuvering and stuff. So yeah, man, I think this kind of sets the tone as well. That like this is a real fucking game, and it's like we put a ton of work into it, and like it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I'd pay $60 just to look at that like cool toy art style. It's so cool.
I'm not a big collector or anything, but I do want like a toy Link's Awakening.
Yeah, they were giving them out at E3. I'm like, I fucking wish I was there.
Like that'd be sweet. Or I'd like a little keychain one, even though everything on my keys breaks. Like all my keychain toys are like breaking. But I'd still want like a little keychain one. I think that'd be really cool. Even though I'm not like a collector of that stuff. But yeah, I think I do see his point that this is a remake at all intents and purposes. And so I think it'd be great if it was $40. I think we have a problem where we stipulate $40 with what you were saying, right? That when we see a $40 price tag, we think there's $20 of content that they just aren't putting in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It sets the tone for what that game is.
But I think we have to, especially as we start getting closer and closer to the digital future, that we have to start reassociating prices with games, right? A $40 game doesn't mean it's an unfinished game compared to a $60 game, right?
Yeah. I mean, some of the best games I played are indie games that are $20.
Yeah. And so this game would be perfect if it was $40. Because this game came out, I don't know how long ago.
Like, very long
ago. Yeah, very long time ago. It is... it's going to have added content, but it doesn't have... It's going to be essentially the same game, right? You're not really getting a whole lot of new experiences. So $40 would be like perfect. Like the new Ratchet and Clank remake was $40, and I think that was great. Like, yeah, and that game's great.
Yeah, I mean, also Nintendo loves money, and I feel like they're not known for like making games that are cheap.
And that's my next point: is Diablo 3 is $60 on the Nintendo eShop still, and that game came out fucking forever ago. It just came out on Switch like a little while ago, but that game is really old, and it's still $60 when it really shouldn't be. That game should be easily $30 now, because Blizzard's barely making any money from that anymore. I doubt it. So, I don't know. Nintendo's always, like, even discounting games, like their first-party games, never happens. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure you go on, Breath of the Wild's probably still $60. Mario Odyssey's for sure still $60.
Yeah.
Pokemon Let's Go game's still going to be $60. Like, it'll be, in 5 years, those games will all still be $60. Yes. So, Nintendo loves their money, but I think they need to start just lowering their prices. And
I think it's also the fact that they just don't. There's not like that many games. Like, I mean, there's a ton of like indie games and stuff. But like, you think about like the sheer volume of third-party games and shit on like Xbox and PlayStation. Like, it's like, oh, new games come out and like it drives the price down quickly. But it's like bigger games don't come out as much on the Switch, so it's like they can afford to kind of have them because those are the Mark ship titles. Whatever the Mark ship titles are, like the $60 ones. And they have a fucking lot of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be great if this game was $40.
Yeah.
I just buy it regardless, but that's because I have the money to buy it regardless. But if it was $40, I'd be very happy.
Yeah. I just think that also games cost a lot of money to make. I'm sure it took a lot of effort to make this. Mm-hmm. I'm fine paying $60. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm fine too with that.
Eric, this last hot topic was kind of your suggestion. And this is, again, it comes from Games Radar 1 Josh West. And it actually comes from Gamescom, but this is the resource we're using. Mm-hmm. And it's titled, I have seen Death Stranding at Gamescom, and I finally understand what's going on. So I want to read a little bit of this, and we're going to discuss. Because Death Stranding is, like, one of the most fucking curious things in video games right now, right?
Yeah, we've
done so many hot topics about
ad nauseum, yeah.
But now we have a bunch of info.
Yeah, now I finally feel like I know what this game is.
This is under the header Death Stranding is actually about connection. The thing that really stood out to me was just how simple this game is at its core. Death Stranding is a game about walking. As Sam Porter Bridges, or as you probably know him, Normal Reedus? I think he meant Norman Reedus. Trapped in an uncanny valley. You are tasked with walking from the east coast of America to the west, reactivating various communication nodes along the way in an effort to spread a message of hope to a nation that has become fragmented and disconnected, taking the idea of unity to pockets of an isolated populace that trades in ambivalence rather than love. That is Death Stranding. That's a pretty well-written paragraph, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Very, very well written.
And it actually tells us what this game is.
and so that was kind of the whole thing, is that the news is that, like, Death Stranding is this walking simulator.
Yeah.
Wrapped in fucking convoluted bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's interesting because it's not what I thought. And we had seen that, right? We had seen, fucking Sam Porter Bridges, or whatever that guy's name is, fucking building bridges and shit and walking across, grassy plains. And so we were all like, well, what is this game? Like, why'd they choose to show it? And apparently that kind of is the game, right? You're traveling to node to node. It's kind of like the towers or whatever in Assassin's Creed, like activating them, interconnecting, building strands.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Good. So my first thought I got after reading those like two paragraphs was like, oh, this is Journey, the $60 100-hour experience. Like, this is just
this game's not gonna be 100 hours.
No, it's gonna be like 20. But it's just the longer experience of Journey that has a little bit more RPG aspects, and you could pee in the game. Right?
Yeah, very strange.
And so I'm all in, because, like, for a while, I'm like, is this game just gonna be like Metal Gear Solid, like the first opening hour of Metal Gear Solid 5, but like kind of slow and like creeping along, and you're just getting bits of information? Am I gonna be confused the whole time? And like, but now it's like, oh, it's just gonna be this tranquil experience that you just go, you experience stuff, you contemplate it, and you just keep walking, right?
Well, I mean, I think they've confirmed that there is combat. And so we know there will be combat. And by walking sim, I didn't mean like there weren't mechanics in the game. It's just that like this game is about moving from place to place.
The combat's going to be very light.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm thinking you're always going to have the choice of fight or flight, and I think flight's always going to be your like bigger choice, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of like walking through long distances, which I mean we'll see if that's interesting, but
yeah. And I just don't think the combat is going to be a focus of this game at all. I always think that as Norman Reedus, you're always going to be under leveled compared to your enemies, right? Because the enemies look always like super overpowered. There's either the things from the upside down looking shit that come out of the black ink, or like there's like the Monsters Inc. dudes, right? That come around and try to scrub you off the face of the earth. So I always think that you're gonna be in flight mode more often. Even in like the game trailer we saw at E3, like he was just bobbing and weaving, which looked really goofy.
Oh, yeah,
and then just
weird.
like punched him once and then kept running.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a lot of that. It's gonna be getting away and not really staying and fighting.
So I want to read a little more of this. And he says, so you will walk. You retrace the steps of Emily, I don't know, daughter of the President of the United Cities of America, who embarked on her own east to west journey with a convoy sometime before the game kicks into gear. She did this in an attempt to establish a network of communication relays across the country, a network that could deliver a message of unity from her mother, Bridget, who also happens to be on death's door. That message is that every problem in the world need not be solved by force. Again, interesting, because that's probably going to be a thing in the game. Instead is a hope that can bring us all together. This is necessary after Central Knot City was destroyed in a terrorist attack through the use of irresponsible void-outs, the act of coming back from the other side, from the game's central antagonists. This has pushed pockets of civilization to disconnect themselves from the government and from each other in fear, choosing to instead go it alone in the wildlands. And then I'm going to read a little bit more and we're going to talk about it. Off on the edge of the Pacific is Edge Knot City, a fucking silly name, all right?
These names are weird.
Home to a group being painted as a decentralizing force, separatists and terrorists. I'm going to read the most ridiculous name, the Homo Demons, who are intent on ensuring their own independence. It's on the road to Edge Knot City, on the road to building a bond with the most dangerous and disconnected portion of this vision of a fractured America where Emily was captured. So, okay. It's interesting. I think this game is very interesting because I think it's very deliberate that it's going to be taking place in the United Cities of America, right?
Yeah, very discreet name.
And they're all fractured, right? And Sam is trying to build a bridge between all these fractured places. Seems like this giant fucking allegory for American politics, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really am into it, and I think it's gonna have all the crazy like just nonsense Kojima shit, right? Like that Metal Gear has kind of established, right? All these crazy characters, that like all this insane stuff. But like, I think that at its core, it's very interesting that this game has like it's so simple what it is like supposed to be, and I don't know. I think that I'm into it. Like, I actually think I'm more excited for this game because of this, like this thing that came out.
Because now we know what it is, what we'll be doing for 20 to 30 hours.
Yeah,
right?
And now the question is like, how do you make that interesting and fun to play?
Yeah, that's the only part that I'm concerned about. I think it's gonna. I'll probably play it and beat it because I'm hoping that the story will be so good that that's what keeps me going. And I'm hoping that the gameplay keeps up with the story so that every time a cutscene's done, I'm not like, ugh, gotta walk again, you know? I'm hoping that the walking is as good as walking around in Journey is. As good as it just is to
just experience the world.
Yeah, see stuff.
Because it's like, I don't know, like in Shadow of the Colossus, right? Like there's really minimal combat in that game, but it's so immersive and like you feel alone and like the world is just so interesting and crazy that you like playing it, right? And so I'm hoping that it's like, maybe each of these nodes is like some crazy And we don't even really know how you're going to traverse, right? Like, it's probably not just walking around. We've seen that he can, like, create fucking ladders out of thin air.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see,
There'll probably be vehicles and stuff,
yeah, what kind of mechanics. I don't know. I'm just so fucking curious. This game comes out in, what, November?
Yep.
And we know nothing.
Well, like, now we know stuff.
I still feel like I just don't know anything. Like, simple facts.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that this is the last thing we get, honestly. I don't really need more than this. I know what I'm going to be doing now.
It's kind of exciting, right?
Yeah. Because I feel like usually at this point, especially for this kind of game, like this big of a game, you've seen gameplay trailers. It's been at 5 E3s. It's like, we would have seen so much. But this thing has been at so many E3s, and it's coming out in like 3 months, and we barely know what it is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hope that more games kind of do this, but I don't think they can because it doesn't have the name Kojima behind it.
Yeah, but do you think that it's like kind of fucked itself? Because it's like, we've had this giant build up for this game that like everyone's like, holy shit, it's gonna blow our minds. Like Kojima's like, we're all fucking playing Death Stranding right now, right? And like, I don't know, man. We don't know. We know there's online stuff, but we don't know how that works. Like, I don't know. Do you think that this game is going to be what people think it's going to be? Do you think there's gonna be this giant like, well, fuck, it's just a video game?
No, I don't know. I think the thing that's so good about it is that we don't know what to expect, right?
Yeah.
You can't get overhyped for something you not knowing what's
going
to
happen. Well, I feel
like
you can. Your mind wanders. You're like, oh my god, I'm going to be walking and Norman Reedus is going to fucking punch a baby and you know what I mean? And like your mind starts to create scenarios in which this is like some transcendent experience.
But I feel like the difference is that that's on you, though. That's your fault.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Whereas, like, if we compare this to like No Man's Sky, right? That was super overhyped, and everyone got
that was kind of their fault.
That was on the consumer and on what is it, Hello Games?
Yeah, Hello Games and Sean Murray and such.
Yeah, but they kept promising these things, whereas Kojima, he's not promising anything. People are just freaking out because they want to freak out.
Yeah. Like okay, and I guess that's true. I feel like a lot of the things where people get really pissed off are like, again, I don't think it's warranted, like Watch Dogs, right? Where I was like, this game looks way worse than it thought, like, you know.
Yeah, that first E3 thing.
Yeah, and you know, and No Man's Sky, where it's like, none of that shit exists.
So yeah, if for some reason this game doesn't turn out to be any of the very vague things they've shown,
I guess it's kind of...
Then it's their fault. But like right now, what they've showed has been very ambiguous. We still have almost zero clue what to expect. What the fuck's
Troy Baker's deal? What's he in this game for?
Troy Baker, apparently Matthew Mercer is also in this game, and so
Guillermo del Toro.
So is Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, that was weird, right? He showed up as like some weird hologram. I don't know.
And so like all we can know to expect is that the performance levels are going to be god tier because they have all the best voice actors.
and the Gorilla engine's going to make that shit fucking run smooth.
Yeah, and we know. Yeah, Horizon ran insanely well and is so pretty, so we know the game's going to look great and run great, and so that's all we could expect because that's all we really know. And so if it's like lower than those qualities, then I think we could be disappointed. But if it's like just not what you expect, I don't think you have the right to complain about it. Well, you have the right. You always complain about whatever. But I think you should check yourself if you're like, this game's out unexpected. Because I'm like, what were you expecting?
You know what else I'm excited for? I kind of in my back of my mind am thinking like, this is going to be like a tight 15, huh? Like I kind of feel like it could be. I mean, it could be a super long
20 to 30, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it could be super drawn out. It's a Kojima game.
You're gonna get a cutscene that's 15 minutes long.
Yeah, that's true. I just like, man, I'm just excited about the fact that I'm gonna play a game that like has a fucking end in sight.
Yeah.
Like think about like God of War to me is like such a perfect length, right? Like that game's so good, and I fucking gobbled it up in like a week.
Yeah.
And like that's like amazing, right? Because I just can't commit myself to these games that are gonna fucking take me so long. I'm still playing Fire Emblem.
Yeah. I'm really hoping, I can sit down, this game comes out, I play it opening night, and I put it down until I have a free weekend, and I just play straight through.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be great.
That'd be insane. I love that.
This has been a short one, but I'm digging it. So I think we're gonna wrap up here. All right. I do want to point out, I think I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth earlier. I was trying to explain why people like Edelgard and how she's like the one female house lead, and I couldn't explain why that was important. And then I went, Logan, you're a fucking idiot. It's because the other two were just like, I feel like, you know, if you were a woman, I'm not trying to speak as a woman, but then it like, you know, you'd be like, all right, this is a woman in power in the house leader, right? Which is something that we don't see enough. So of course you'd want to support that, and Edelgard would be cool. That's what I wanted to clarify, because I kind of feel like I came off as a douchebag.
I mean, clarification's always good.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. Edelgard's cool. I'm sure if I play again, Black Eagles is gonna go on because Black Eagles will be who I play as because I'm not fucking playing as that cop, the Blue Lions.
Yeah. Do you think you'll play this game again?
I don't know. I just want to beat it.
How close beating it?
I'm like 22 hours in, Eric.
Dang. So
I have like 60 hours to go. And I play it like, I feel like it takes up a ton of my free time. I don't understand how people play games for 8 hours.
Yeah. I don't either.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not a person who can play for like hours at a time. I'm not doing 10-hour sessions. I'm doing like 2-hour, 3-hour sessions.
Yeah, just do a 24-hour stream where you just play all day.
Oh man, I don't even know. I think if we did that, I'd have to play a lot of different games because I'd get so burnt out and be like, what? Fucking still playing this game? Jesus.
See, that's why I don't know. Well, that's logistics. We can talk about later.
We'll figure it out. Everyone, this has been the Generic Gaming Podcast.Mp3. Thank you so much for listening. Please tune in next week when Jeff Keighley comes on the show as a hologram. Anyways, we love you unless you suck, in which case we don't, and you should probably work on that. Have a good one.